Hello, everyone. Good morning to you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on whichever part of the world you're tuning in from. Firstly, I would like to say that unfortunately, due to an unexpected camera malfunction today, I regret to inform you that you won't be able to see me during this live session. Nonetheless, I'm here and ready to engage with you through my audio and, of course, the visuals you're seeing on your screen right now. So I'm very sorry about that. I tried as much as possible to solve it. I think it's a software issue, and I've sent a mail to the customer support in that regard to see how things will work out. So I'm so sorry. You wouldn't be seeing my face, but we are here and let's get things started. So, in the last 24 hours, we've actually been experiencing a significant surge in favor of the US dollar, and this might be as a result of the anticipation of the CPI data coming up later today, and of course, market expectations is quite positive in that regard. So we are going to be looking into the market to see how we can position ourselves ahead of both the London and the New York session today. I have indeed conducted a comprehensive price action analysis on all of the assets, and for those who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, you will definitely have gotten an update as regards to the four financial assets on our watch list. So since the beginning of the week, we have been reviewing the USDJPY, the GBPUSD, the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold, and of course the USOilSPOT. And all of them have been doing pretty well, except for the pound sterling, where we have seen a situation where, despite the surge in the US dollar price movements, on the GBP USD, things are still looking very indecisive there. So we are going to be looking at that and how we are going to be positioning ourselves ahead of today's trading session. As usual, our analytical approach here is basically focused on simple but powerful parameters such as trend lines, key levels, and of course chart patterns to uncover valuable insights into the historical price movement of all the assets on our watch list. For those who are joining us for the first time, you are highly welcome on board. And what we simply do here is to come together as a community in anticipation of both the London and the New York session, where we review how well the assets we are doing, are we monitoring, have been doing, and at the same time strategically position ourselves ahead of the trading sessions. And basically, it's a follow-up detail to my videos. Normally during the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, I normally share a bucket of assets that we are going to be looking at for the week, and as a result of that, this is a follow-up detail to that analysis. So basically here we are going to be deliberating on the 1 hour time frame, which is our execution time frame. So if you do want to have a background knowledge into how we were able to spot these levels, trend lines, and structures you're seeing right here, then it's important you want to be watching those videos. I have the links in the description box of this current video you are watching. They are duly time-stamped, so that simply means that you can navigate to whichever chapter of the video is of your interest. So I advise you to watch it, and you can also use it as an educational tool to understand how to use price action in identifying potential trading opportunities. So once again, you are highly welcome on board. Now, to kickstart the session, let's confirm that we are good to go. Can you hear me? In the comment section, I would like to know if you can hear me clearly and can see my screen, so that I can confirm that we are all on the same page. So please, I would like to see your feedbacks in the comment section. Peter Eze, I see your comment. Good morning to you, and thank you very much for checking in. All right, so with that being said, here let's dive right into the business, and as usual we are going to be looking at the economic calendar. As we all know, these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. By monitoring the economic calendar, we can identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns. And the information here, the timing, the data, helps us to be on standby to catch any potential trading opportunity ahead, during, and even after the event. So now, if we go into the economic calendar and scroll down into Thursday, August 10th, you will see that we have one major high impact event coming in from the United States economic docket, and this is going to be alighting by, I think, in about 3-4 hours from now. So we want to be on standby for this event, and this event is one very important event that gives an insight into the inflationary status of an economy. So the CPI is released by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it is a measure of price movement by the comparison between the retail prices of a representative shopping basket of goods and services. In fact, this index is a key indicator to measure inflation and changes in purchasing trends. And of course, the Feds will be on taps to see what the data will be, as it will also be affecting the next interest rate decision. Generally speaking, a high reading is seen as positive for the US dollar, while a low reading is seen as negative. Now, from the previous data we have here, it came in, the month-on-month data came in the month of June at 0.2%, and economists are projecting a 0.2%. So there's not much change on the month-on-month, but for the year-on-year, there's a projection of 0.3% growth from the previous month. So we are going to be looking forward to what the actual data will be. Will it be as expected, below expectation, or even be beyond expectation? But as technical traders here, what we are going to be doing is to sniff the markets, the charts, to see if we can identify structures and pattern that will help us be on standby to capitalize on any potential move during the London and the New York session. I'm proud to the event. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the chart. So the first financial asset on our watch list for today is I think, hold on, okay. All right, so the first asset on our watch list for today is the US oil. So on the US oil, we've had a swing of ups and a swing of downs. In this one, we had a moment where we sold the US oil this week, and we also had moments where we bought the US oil. So for the sake of clarity, I would love to run through what happened this week so far, and let's zoom right into the beginning of this week. So at the beginning of the week, the first thing we observed on this chart was price action was initially caught within a range between the $82.85 level and the $82.20 level, to give us a flat channel to work with at the beginning of the week. Then secondly, we observed the continued selling pressure around the $82.85. We saw the first one happen here on Friday. Then we saw the second one happen here during the early hours of this week to further emphasize that we might likely be seeing a reversal pattern unfold. And while we looked further, we saw a potential um, double top structure where we saw the first touch, second touch, and price um, fell back into the $82.20 level. And when we start seeing transition of price action into a reversal pattern, that the next thing we normally do here is to identify the neckline, which of course shares a beautiful confluence with that support line of the range we identified earlier. And what we were looking out for at that point was the breakdown retest of that neckline to confirm that reversal pattern, which exactly was what happened. And we rode that move all the way to the downside, scooping. I think we were able to scoop. Okay, the first position gave us moved about 240 pips before the bullish momentum began. And remember, we added one more positions at the breakdown of the $81.52 level, which also moved about 170 pips. So as at the first day of the week, we were already running with about over 400 pips in profits on the USOilSPOT, giving us a positive start to the week. And remember what we said here on Monday. We talked about the importance of the $80 level around this area, where we saw price break out of that $80 mark. That was on Thursday of last week trading session. And I told us yesterday, on that day, on Monday, that if the bearish momentum continues, that as soon as price comes into the $80 mark, we want to be very careful to see how price action will react to that level on our lower time frame to determine if we are going to be joining an uptrend continuation in the form of price coming back to retest the structure that was broken to incite another wave. And if we do have a breakdown retest, we might likely be joining a sell-off. And what happened here, though we had a breakout here, but price climbed up, we never saw the retest to drop price to the downside, and instead price continued to the upside, giving us another buying opportunity to take advantage of. And it's in that buy position we still have running at this point in time, as you will see. And remember, during our live session yesterday, I told us all that we are going to be capitalizing on the breakout of the $82.85 level. And I said for those who have missed out on that opportunity, that we can look out for a retest of structure, which of course happened about a couple of hours into the New York session to incite this second leg of that bullish momentum. I also mentioned that we will be capitalizing on the breakout of the $83.50 level, and of course I updated us this morning that we also have another level at the $84.28 area to maximize the potential of this bullish move. So it has been quite an interesting week for us on the USOilSPOT, and in fact this second position here, we have price move over 400 pips on the first buy position, let alone the second and third moves added to it. So it has been quite an interesting and profitable week for us on the USOilSPOT, and for those who are on standby to capitalize on this move, well done to you for being on standby to capture this one. So at this point in time, you know how we do it. The next thing we want to be doing right now is to move all stop losses to secure this current buy position. And from the way things are looking like at this point in time, I want to suggest that that zone around the $83 area, between that $83.20 and the $82.50 zone, seems most appropriate to lock in some profit at this point in time. And the reason why that is, of course, we need enough room, as we could see some retracement move happen or volatile movement happen due to the CPI data coming up later in the day. And as a result of these expectations, there is a likelihood that this could happen. So we want to give enough room for price action to breathe around this area. So now we have another new level. This is my new next level right now for another opportunity to join this uptrend continuation, as this is the highest point where price action has been, so far for this week. So a breakout of the $84.28 level, I'm of the opinion that will welcome more opportunities to buy. And like we always do here in this community, there are two ways to which you can take advantage of this move. One is for those who have been part of this profitable journey so far this week. So what this simply means is that for those who are part of this profitable journey, you can afford to leverage on the profits you had made so far this week to test waters around the above the $84.28 level to capitalize on this uptrend continuation. So having a buy stop order above the $84.28 level seems much more reasonable at this point, with a stop loss of about 50 pips thereabout, 50-55 pips. It's quite okay to give enough room for price action to breathe on this one. However, if you are joining for the first time and this is going to be your first position you will be taking with us on the USOilSPOT, then you would need price to break out and retest that structure, as you would need confirmation. You don't have anything to leverage on to test waters around that area. So you'll be looking out for a breakout of structure, then scale down to the lower time frame like your 5, 10 or 15 minutes time frame to look out for retest, now confirming that buyers are gaining more momentum to join that uptrend move. So that is how we are going to be buying the USOilSPOT for today. Now, in as much as we look out for buying opportunities, you know how we do it in this community, we also want to keep tabs with the opposite direction too as well. What if sellers come in at any point in time? We always want to be on standby to capitalize on that move if it falls in line with our strategy. Now, with the current situation we have here, since price broke out of that descending trend line, remember we had this descending trend line at the beginning of the week, which was guiding our bearish idea before it got broken right here on Tuesday to incite the strong bullish momentum. And since price broke out of that structure, we are yet to see price action to come back into that descending trend line. And we all know that from a technical standpoint, when price action breaks out of a key structure such as the descending trend line we just highlighted here, there are chances that price can still come back to retest the trend line that was broken in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. But since the breakout of that trend line happened, we are yet to see price come back to retest the descending trend line. So as a result of this, we should also take into consideration that price could come back and retest that structure, and this could be a reflection of profit-taking activities, as those who bought at a very cheap price at the $80 mark yet on Tuesday might want to be closing some of their position to recover some profit from this move. So if that is going to be the case, then we might likely be seeing a counter trend opportunity. And to join this counter trend opportunity, what do we want to see on this chart that will make us feel comfortable to join the sell? Now, the first thing I want to look at here is after the breakout of that descending trend line, you will see that price action had consistently found higher highs and higher lows. And if we bring out our line chart and connect the series of higher lows, you will see that we have an ascending trend line to work with to guide our trading activity today. Now, as long as price remains above this ascending trend line, we want to feel comfortable in our buy position. However, if price drops below the ascending trend line, then we are likely going to be seeing a momentum shift, and we of course want to be on standby to capitalize on that one. Now, I will be suggesting that if price drops below the $83.50 level, we might likely be seeing a profit-taking activity, which would reflect on the chart as a retracement of the previous impulse leg that we are currently enjoying at this point in time. So a breakdown of both the ascending trend line and the $83.50 level will welcome selling opportunities. And if you're already profitable so far this week, you can afford to have your sell stop order below the $83.50 level to capitalize on that move. But if this is your first opportunity taking advantage of the US All Spot market, you want to see a breakdown, retest of the $83.50 level or the ascending trend line to join the bearish move to the downside, where we shall be looking at all these levels, the $82.85, $82 area, to see how price reacts to that level to determine if we are going to be adding more sell position or getting ready to join an uptrend. But of course, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates on what I think will happen around those zones. But a breakdown retest definitely will welcome selling opportunities. So we are looking at around the $80 mark again. As I have this trend line here, I want to see if price will get that far before the uptrend continuation happens. So this is how we are going to be managing our positions on the US All Spot today. It's a very simple setup. The first thing you want to be marking out right now is this ascending trend line. Very, very important, as it will continue to support the bullish momentum, and if price remains above that level, we want to look out for more opportunities to capitalize on the uptrend. But a breakdown of this ascending trend line will definitely signal a momentum shift in this market. So you want to be marking out that level and that zone where price action is currently at. So if you have any questions as regards to the current setup or my explanation so far, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move on to the next financial asset on our watch list. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. So permit me to move on to the next financial asset on our watch list. So the next instrument on our watch list for today is the GBPUSD, the cable market, and it's a very indecisive market we have right here, as we have bought, we have sold, and we have sold again a couple of times, and price is still yet within the range we noticed since the beginning of the week. And if you look at this whole structure closely, you will see that price has indeed been caught within the 1.279 and the 1.2700 area to further emphasize the level of indecision in this particular market. So price has been ranging. So at this point in time, you know how we do it. Whenever price action falls into this kind of range, we want to wait patiently for price action to give us a signal, which of course will come in the form of either a breakout of the resistance line of the channel or the breakdown of the support line of the channel to give us an opportunity to trade. However, despite this scenario, this expectation, we had an ascending trend line which was identified within the channel, which actually supported, guided our trading activity for the last 2 days. So we saw the breakdown here, which welcomed selling opportunities. That was on Tuesday. Price did not really move that much before price snapped back into our entry point. And during our live session yesterday, we talked about a retest of the structure, remember? And we said if price breaks down the 1.2764, we will be joining a bearish move to the downside. We said we're going to add more position if price breaks down the 1.27435, we saw it break down that structure, but unfortunately, I hope we moved our stop loss accordingly. Of course, unfortunately, we were taking out one more time again with a modest size of profit. It's just telling us that price is not really moving significantly well in a particular direction. So at this point in time, we're still within a range, and in fact, I'm beginning to see higher lows gradually coming up on this chart. Now, if you look at this closely, you will see the 1.27 zone is the lowest point price action has been, at least in the last 1 week. We saw what happened here on Tuesday. We saw another one here, and then yesterday evening stroke the early hours of today, we can see another higher low here as price is unable to break the previous low. And what this simply tells us is that there are chances that buyers are trying to gain a momentum. But the fact that price gets into the zone around the 1.279 to negate all bullish attempt for me is where the dilemma now comes in. So at this point in time, buying is very, very risky, and at the same time selling too is risky. So what we are going to be doing here is just remain patient, wait for technically we should be waiting for a breakout of the 1.279 zone, that is price action taking out all the sell position within the zone to give us a confirmation that we are good to buy. And if that does not happen, I don't think it's quite reasonable to buy. And the only thing that will make me want to buy within this range is to see higher highs and higher lows. Now, though we have an impulsive move right now, but this doesn't confirm that truly price action will go bullish. It could come into this area, find some resistance again, and drop back to the downside and still continue within that range, which is not something I really like to take advantage of, especially in the GBPUSD market. So, but if we start seeing something like signs of strong bullish momentum gradually building up, probably like a double bottom structure, higher highs or higher lows within this range, then we could anticipate some entries even before the breakout of that resistance line happens at the 1.279. But if there is anything interesting or significant that comes up along the line, trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates in that regard. So at this point in time, let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's continue to watch this market, monitor it, and see if we are going to have an interesting setup that will open doors for trading opportunities. So these are my perspective here on the GBPUSD for today. So let's see how the market will anticipate the CPI data today. And remember, we also have the GDP data coming in from the United Kingdom tomorrow, another significant economic feature from the United Kingdom that will have a direct impact on price movement for this week. So I think the reason why we are in this consolidation phase is because of these economic datas. So let's see how the market will react. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section on both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking another 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions, and you can as well use that time to mark out these levels on your chart. Hello, Richard Blackett. Good morning to you. I'm glad to have you around. Glad to have you around. You're welcome. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I will take that as a confirmation that we're all good to go. So we shall be moving right into the next asset on our watch list. So the next financial asset on our watch list for today is the XAUUSD, another very interesting setup we have here on this asset. So since the beginning of the week, though we had an opportunity to buy the XAUUSD at the beginning of the week, remember we spotted this buy opportunity on the 50 minutes time frame, which we took advantage of. I think we had about 100 pips as we had multiple entries triggered on that single move. I think it was around here. We bought at the $1,934.50 level. We added more positions here, and I think we added more positions at the 1,936. So at the beginning of the week, we bought the XAUUSD, and not until the second day we begin to see signs that sellers might likely be taking over this market. Now, in addition to the setup we identified at the beginning of the week, remember we saw this range where price action was initially caught within the $1,946.50 level and the $1,941 area. We saw the breakdown of the structure and we saw the retest happen here, and since that moment we decided that we are going to be going bearish. So we were looking forward to price breaking down our key level, which of course we took advantage of, but we were taking out at a worst case scenario break even at every point in time. And then Wednesday's trading session, we saw the second opportunity here. Price dropped down, and throughout yesterday we sold into the structure, and I told us all to move our stop losses to secure this position. If you still have a sell position running at this point, you want to ensure that you move your stop loss to the entry zone of the second position to protect and secure your position against any sudden pullback. So right now, what is going to be our plans for today on the XAUUSD? So before I go into that, I would like us to visit my commentary on the XAUUSD this morning. And for those who are with me on the TradingView and Telegram platform, you would have gotten an update in that regard. So you're already familiar with what we talked about here. So this is what I said here this morning. I said we've gained around 100 pips from two positions while we secure our current holdings. The upcoming release of the US Consumer Price Index could greatly impact prices in either direction. With the price action position below the descending trend line, our focus remains on identifying selling opportunities. The possibilities of buying opportunities will only arise if the price manages to break and retest the 1,924 zone and the trend line that we identified on the chart. Now, going back into the live chart, this is what I'm talking about. So the first thing you will notice here is the fact that price action has been respecting that descending trend line. So we got that one after connecting the series of lower highs. Remember, that was on the second day of this week, and we've agreed that as long as price remains below that descending trend line, we have no business buying the XAUUSD. Now, let's talk about the potentials of sellers here first of all. Now, as long as price remains below that descending trend line, we have no business buying. And of course, we want to look out for patterns and structures that will support the idea of selling. Now, if we look at the last impulsive move here that started yesterday morning, we saw price drop into the 1,914 level, as you will see. And since then, we have been noticing the emergence of buy pressure as we see price continue to find higher lows here, giving me that ascending trend line you are seeing on your screen right now. Now, for me, I want to consider this higher lows we are seeing here as a retracement of that impulsive move that happened yesterday. Now, the question now is, where will that retracement culminate before the second wave of that bearish momentum begin? So how far will this bullish move go before price action continues to the downside? So that's the question we want to be answering this morning. And to do that, we will need to use our Fibonacci retracement tool, where we would run it through the previous impulse leg and aim at our golden zone area, which of course is always between the 78.6% of the impulsive move and the 50% of that impulse leg. So we have a window right here. So I will call this a sell window. So let's place this right inside the box. I'll give you a darker color, and my windows are always yellow. So I want it to be a little bit lighter. Okay. So we have a sell window right now, and we'll delete the retracement tool as we no longer need it. So now I'm projecting that let's see if the price will get into the zone. So if it gets into the zone, we know what we are looking out for. We want to look out for selling pressure around this area. It could come in the form of a reversal pattern, double top, inverse head and shoulder pattern, rising wedge, whichever case it may be. Identify the neckline, then we can join the bearish move to the downside. Now, one interesting thing about that zone is the fact that it also shares a confluence with that descending trend line that we spotted earlier at the beginning of the week. So if it falls within that area and we begin to see selling pressure, then we want to be getting ready to sell the XAUUSD at that point in time. So mark the sell window on your charts and let's see if the market will get that far before we can join a bearish move. Now, if what happens if price does not get that far before price drops to the downside? Well, I already identified something for us to capitalize on that one. And the first one here is the ascending trend line, which I was able to spot here, which has been guiding this potential retracement move. And if price still remains above that trend line, then we hope it will get into the sell window to join the downtrend continuation. But if at any point in time price breaks down the ascending trend line, then we might likely be seeing the beginning of the second wave of the bearish momentum we saw yesterday. Now, if we are going to be joining it, we are not having a sell stop right away. We will wait. We will scale down into our lower time frame, like the 5, 10, or 15 minutes time frame, to look out for retest. Then we can join, then have a sell stop order below the $1,916.50 level to join the downtrend continuation. So this is how we are going to be managing a sell position on the XAUUSD for today. Now, the bulls are in the market trying to push price to the upside. Of course, we cannot ignore that possibility. And if we are going to consider buying here, what do we want to see on this chart? For me to buy here, I would want to see price action break out of that descending trend line we identified earlier. And in fact, it also shares a confluence with that zone around the 1,925 and the 1,924 area. So I want to see price action take out all the potentials of sellers around this area for me to start considering buying this asset here. So I want to see a breakout happen. Then a retest of structure on my lower time frame will be a very good confirmation to join an uptrend move. So at this point in time, we remain bearish as long as price remains below that descending trend line. And in fact, we were able to identify a sell window where if price gets into this area, we look out for reversal patterns to join a bearish move. But if a breakout happens and price retests the ascending trend line and the 1,925, 924 zone, then we will be joining an uptrend to the upside. So these are my views here on the XAUUSD for today. Quite a very simple setup. Let's mark these levels out on our charts and use it as a reference point to guide our trading activities for today. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume we're all on the same page. So we shall be moving right into the last asset on our watch list for today. So the next instrument on our watch list for today is the USDJPY. So this is the last instrument we are going to be taking on. And in fact, we have been very, very bullish on the USDJPY and profitable too as well. And for those who have been part of this profitable journey, you will have at least 4 positions running in profit at this particular point in time. Now, let's run through how the week started for us here in this community. So at the beginning of the week, we had the range identified just right below our key level at the 142.00 area, giving us an insight into the level of indecision at that point. Now we saw the breakout of our key level happened. That was early in the morning. On Monday, we missed out on that opportunity as this happened before our live session. Then we said we are going to be looking out for a breakout of the 142.300 to join and the retest of the 142.00 area to join an uptrend continuation, which was exactly what happened, triggering our first and second buy position for the week. And since that moment, we have been holding on to this bullish momentum all the way to the upside. Remember, we also added more position during the New York session yesterday, and we also later in the New York session yesterday, I told us all that we are going to be having another structure above the 143.725 to capitalize on this uptrend continuation. Now, in addition to this, we have an ascending trend line, which of course has been supporting that bullish momentum for us since the beginning of the week. So at this juncture in the market, for those who still have a buy position running, you definitely want to be moving your stop losses to lock in some profit right now. And the most appropriate area for me personally is the 143.50 and the 143.20 area to secure this position. We want to give enough room for price action, so put that into consideration while moving your stop losses. Now, I would like to run through my commentary on the USDJPY this morning as regards to what we said we are going to be doing to manage our position on this asset. So this is how we have been managing the USDJPY this week. So this morning I stated here that we've witnessed an impressive movement of over 400 pips in our favor across 4 entries. It's prudent to secure our positions while also keeping an eye out for further buying opportunities, considering that the price is still positioned above the ascending trend line. However, it is crucial to note that the upcoming release of the US Consumer Price Index could significantly impact price movement in either direction. As a result, we should remain cautious about the possibility of a breakdown retest of the ascending trend line, which might lead to a potential sell-off in this market. Now let's go back into the live chat. Now, in as much as we have an uptrend structure on this market and the potentials of buyers pushing price to the upside is still looking promising, I said we cannot ignore the potentials of sellers too. And remember that we have an economic event coming in from the US economic docket, the Consumer Price Index, which is also a very, very impactful event on price action. A volatile movement is very possible at that time, and it could trigger profit-taking activities in this market. And if that happens, we might likely be seeing a form of retracement that will break down this ascending trend line to crash price to the downside, probably to retest the 142.00 level, which is our key level, to incite another wave of bullish momentum during the last trading day of the week. So it's a possibility we cannot ignore. So we want to be mindful if that happens to capitalize on that move too as well. So if we are going to be joining a bearish move here, then I would want to see price drop below the 143.725, which of course shares a confluence with both of the trend lines. So if it breaks down that structure, mind you, it could still turn out to be a false breakdown. So we really need a true breakdown to join the bearish move. And once we sight the breakdown of structure, we scale down into our lower time frame to look out for continued rejections. All we need is signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that ascending trend line, and of course this would reflect on the chart as multiple retest or rejection of the 143.725 after it has been broken to the downside. So that is one way we are going to be managing our trade today. So if we are going to be selling, we want to be selling anywhere below the 143.725 on the USDJPY. However, considering the strong uptrend continuation, we still keep our bullish stance open, of course. So for those who have been profitable so far this week, we can afford to leverage on the profit we have made so far by having a buy stop order above the 144.00 level to capitalize on the uptrend continuation. So having a buy stop order there seems promising, especially for those who have been profitable so far this week. But if you are joining us for the first time on the USDJPY, I will suggest that you follow the technical expectation, that is breakout of structure, scale down to your 15 minutes, 5 minutes time frame to look out for retest of structure, confirming that bulls are gaining more momentum. Then we can join that uptrend move. So that is how we are going to be joining if you are coming in from a clean slate for today. So let's see how this will play out. It's a simple setup, a very linear and uniform higher lows we have here in this market. So let's see what happens going forward. Are we going to have price respect the ascending trend line, or are we going to see a situation where the trend line will be broken and of course a breakdown of the 143.725 will be welcoming selling opportunities? So these are my views here on the USDJPY. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we call it a day here. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. So I will be drawing the curtain now, and that reminds me the XAUUSD live monitoring window is coming up 5-10 minutes before the New York session begins. So it is a platform where we come here to monitor price action on the XAUUSD and trade that asset together here. So you would love to join us during that session. It comes in 5-10 minutes before the New York session, and I want to drop the link to that session right in the comment section. So you want to be clicking that link, click on the notify me button so that whenever I come online, you will get a notification that we are live and join the session. So thank you very much. It has been a wonderful moment this morning. We were able to take on 4 financial assets today. We talked about the USOilSPOT, we talked about the GBPUSD, USDJPY, and of course the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And in fact, we were able to identify simple setup that we are going to be using to guide our trading activities for today. And I do hope you are able to mark out those levels appropriately, as you will be needing them as a reference point when you're about to make your independent trading decision. So thank you everyone, and please don't forget to support this project. Click the like button. Your likes are very valuable to me, and in fact it helps the YouTube algorithm to push the video to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial to them too. Thank you in advance as you do so, and let's see in the comment section of both the XAUUSD live monitoring window, my Telegram, and TradingView platform as we continue to monitor price action. And hopefully tomorrow, I hope my the camera will be quite functional and the issues will be resolved so that I can come back again to connect with you from the visual aspects of myself. All right, everybody, I wish you best of luck, and I hope to see you same time tomorrow, 8:05 a.m. UTC as usual. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye-bye.